Welcome to another episode of Stay Modern with Murray, brought to you by Murray Custom Homes, where we build your dream home together. Now sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride with your host, Matt Murray.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on this episode of Stay Modern with Murray. Today I'm your host, Matthew Taylor, and we are in the Murray studio speaking with Todd Kunze, Innerwave president and CEO. You're going to want to sit back, relax, and take this one in because it could change your life. Todd, thank you for joining us, man.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Hey, first and foremost, man, before we kind of get into the ins and outs of what you do, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, this journey, right? And so this started back in the early 90s. I mediated between national recording artists and their charities of choice. And, a national recording artist wanted to do a philanthropic or charitable project. We did it for them, and they loved it because they didn't have to touch anything. And we would set it up and come, and they would show up, and whether it was a food drop or a St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, I did a lot of projects with them, and a lot of different radio and festivals. So I got kind of started in all of that in the country music festivals, right? And so that all kind of transpired, and did that for 5 or 6 years. We did projects from the size of a lemonade stand up to the Daytona 500. And what's Live Nation today used to be, back in the day, it was Pace Entertainment. Then it was SFX. Robert Silverman bought that and became SFX. And then Clear Channel Communications bought that. And it just kept going, right? So 4 years of corporate changes. Every year there was a corporate change in the music industry. And I survived all of that, and was at the Charlotte Blockbuster Pavilion at the time when that was happening around 2000, and then went to Birmingham and opened an amphitheater there. And so between all of that journey, right, of doing music festivals for that and the amphitheater in Charlotte, Birmingham, and the nonprofit, I've done about 700 events.
Oh, wow.
And they all had something to do. My wife asked me one time, what do I tell people you do? And I said, well, I just tell them I'm a charitable instigator, right? so we really, anytime we had conversations with artists, artist management, people in the industry or whatever, labels, publicists, festival, it had to have something philanthropic with it, right? We do something. And just over the years, it just kind of progressed to after COVID, right? And everyone has a COVID story of what changed or directed your lives, your business, whatever it is that you do. And we were ready to, I went back to college, and got away from all of this, and we were in discussions with a friend of mine in Nashville. And I said, well, let's get the band back together, kind of, if you will, and kind of start doing this again. And we had the letters, the documents, everything was ready to go. I sent it off at 10:30 in the morning, March 13th. This would have been 2019. And that went right in the trash can, because 30 minutes later, everything shut down.
Man.
And everybody's lives were changed because of it. And a lot of doors had to be closed in Nashville and the music industry in Los Angeles and New York because of it. And so as we redirected, and the reason I'm sharing all of this is because of, technologies that were available that came out of COVID, and streaming platforms, and all kinds of interesting ideas that were trying to come out of this post-COVID scenario. We really wouldn't exist if it wasn't for COVID. We just kept exploring ideas and opportunities available with the technologies around, and kind of what we do now. So we're sorry for the really long answer here, but it kind of sets up, how we got to this point. And along that journey, we've been able to establish just an incredible team and an incredible board of advisors of what we do in that space. You want me to share with you real quick the space that we operate in?
I'd love that. I'd love that for our listeners too.
Yeah, so there's a technology, there's a new medical field that Johns Hopkins University created along with the Aspen Institute called the NeuroArts. And NeuroArts was formed basically, I think now it's hitting 3 years ago, this initiative. And I mean, you can look it up online. The NeuroArts Blueprint is what it's called. But it's the convergence of science and technology and research and the arts and all the arts, dance, music, expression. It just takes and encompasses everything in a wellness platform. And so I had already started working on what Innerwave has become today. I already started working on it before I knew what NeuroArts was or what it meant, or they even coined that. I'd been doing this for a while. And so I had some really great conversations with Dr. Susan Magsman on video conference and what we were trying to do. And so we really formulated everything we do kind of functions around new technologies, new NeuroArts interventions like music therapy interventions, art therapy interventions, virtual reality therapy interventions. And we've come up with a patent pending process that combines multiple therapy interventions into one modality. And so I wouldn't be able, just because of the patent, I wouldn't be able to dive into all of it, but it's really interesting how well received this has been, the conversations that I've had, and so we're really excited about some of the technologies that we're creating, what we're working on to improve music therapy intervention outcomes and combine some new technologies. So that's the short version.
Well, music therapy intervention. I mean, kind of break that down if you would. I mean, let's. I'm going to play dumb here, right? Act like I have no idea what you're talking about. Tell me a little bit more about music therapy.
Well, right now we've partnered with. This will be a little bit of a long answer, but to set that up, we've partnered with the Institute for Music and Neurologic Function in New York. And Dr. Conchetta Tomeno, she was like only the second music therapist in the world. And she, if you remember the movie Awakenings.
Oh, boy, do I. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Robin Williams movie. And that movie was about Dr. Oliver Sacks. And she founded the Institute in New York with Oliver Sacks in New York. And what's exciting about that, she's on our board of advisors, and the institute that they have at Wartburg there in New York and Mount Vernon is incredible. But she's been a really great sounding board for these music therapy interventions and mostly elder care, right, with memory care residents there, and her work with the elderly and elder care. But music therapy in itself, traditionally over the years, has been, playing music for someone or having music. Music and memory is also merged with the Institute there in New York. And they have soundtracks that are created for, their elderly residents and access to people, that want to build a soundtrack for their loved one if they're a caregiver. Here's the interesting thing about music therapy interventions now is they create soundtracks for music that someone loved, right? So your elderly parent has a memory or Alzheimer's issues or a memory care issue. You can play their favorite songs on the song list, and they know all the words to the songs, but they might not know their daughter sitting in front of them.
Right.
And so what happens is this exercise helps them to have some sort of sense of something to look forward to, or something to hopefully can create some neuroplasticity, new neural pathways could be possibly created in the space. And they're also we participated in this music therapy. It was a music circle, right? So we had an artist friend of ours, he's our business partner and on our website, board member, but Greg Barnhill wrote Trisha Yearwood's breakout hit, Walk Away Joe, and has won multiple Emmy Awards and is a Grammy nominated guy, a great person to work with. Well, we stopped in and we played for these residents at the mental facility there, for memory care facility, sorry. And there was a accordion, a piano player. I had a djembe drum that Mickey Hart from the Grateful Dead donated, so I got to play Mickey Hart's drum.
Man.
And we had a couple of other people there in the circle, and then they brought in a couple of residents, and we played. And he was basically almost catatonic in the beginning, but we played John Denver, Country Roads. He woke up and knew all the words to the song.
Oh my gosh.
And he was clapping and everything. And then we'd stop and then he would kind of revert back. And so this is not a common story where elder care patients and memory care patients can sing the words like Happy Birthday or songs from the 40s or the 50s, but they don't remember lots of connective things next to them, meaning their family members and events. So our hope is in this music therapy interventions that we've created and some technologies that we've added that we can take new music delivery technologies and combine them from a listening standpoint and have these residents and people listen to this new soundtracks. Originally, we recorded 2 proof of concepts in the recording studio in Nashville, and their original content pieces, and they've been overwhelmingly well received by the people that we've played them to, and the meeting neurologists, people and doctors and people that are in the space, and so. Lloyd, there's music therapy as a whole is such a great. It needs to be tapped in so much more because of the benefits of therapeutic benefits of music and sound resonance, and even some of the solfeggio scale ohm, right? Resonant frequency ohms, like you can ohm at 432 or anything like that can calm calm someone down or be there. So anyway, we're exploring these new music therapy intervention technologies and sound, how the sound is delivered, how the people hear it, that will help break through and help create hopefully some of these new neural pathways. Also pain management, right? Pain management, anxiety disorders, right. PTSD, all of those. So this applies to all of that as a whole. So that's a long answer, but music therapy interventions with musicians and playing and comforting someone and helping create a sense of not just balance, but of calm and healing. There's other properties to it. It probably take another 2 hours to dive too deep.
No, I mean, I think honestly, Todd, I think this could change lives. I mean, you've seen the benefits. You've seen it on your end. I mean, for our audience here in the Nebraska, Omaha, our area, I think this is huge. I've always said music can make or break my day. If I'm riding into work and I'm listening to something, let's say, that wants to get me pumped up, that will take me throughout noon at least, if not through the afternoon. And I will carry that same attitude throughout the day. And I mean, I coach a lot of baseball, right? And it's the same concept with our pregame, with our postgame. I mean, music changes the way that you feel. It changes the way that you act. It changes even the simple task of walking, right? If I'm going for a walk and I'm listening to something soothing, that's going to calm me down. I can't imagine the way that it's changing people's lives on your end of the spectrum too, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think with this is worth sharing based on what you shared, and I shared this on the stage. We were part of the Music Has Power Awards and Symposium in New York City in Times Square in November. And Greg Barnhill, our creative officer, chief creative officer, received an award there, and then I was on a panel on the stage, and I shared this in New York, and it was good timing. It was pretty spontaneous, but I had a little over a year and a half ago, knew something was going on. Went and had some they weren't physical tests. They were tests that you fill out. You answer these forms and questions and questionnaires, and there was a stack of them. There was like 10 of them. And I went to see this clinical psychologist, and we filled all these out. And I had a PTSD score of 85.
Oh, wow.
And it's super, the way I understand it, is super clinical, where I think the military categorizes their PTSD score clinical at 40. And so it gives you an idea of how above the scoring spectrum I was at the time. So we went through, and I started using some of these music therapy interventions that I'm working with right now, and some of the other programs that we discussed over the year. And I took maybe a couple, 3 months ago, I took this test again, and my score was below 30.
Oh, my goodness.
And so
you cut it in half.
Yeah. And so if you look at anxiety disorder and PTSD, as far as music therapy interventions, we've been using the same technique in music therapy basically since it started, in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And what we've come up with, and I wish I could dive into it a little bit more, but we're still, scientifically kind of covered up by doing that. But we've come up with a way to deliver this that bypasses the way the brain hears the music and it's processed and goes in. And we can put an EEG cap or EEG headphones on a participant that's in a session and run them through that. And here's a great example I can tell you. Akamoto and his team in 2018 did a study. These Japanese colleagues did a study on the autonomic nervous system and the Hertz frequency 528 Hertz. And they put this study with these PTSD patients, and their autonomic nervous system and the PTSD patients in these sessions returned to baseline in 5 minutes.
Oh.
In 5 minutes.
Incredible.
And so we've taken that and incorporated into some of the work that we're doing initially. And you have the PTSD, anxiety disorder patients, which you can get real-time results from with the EEG, with the blood pressure, just common things, right, from the stats, and get their SAT rates and everything together and gain just as much information from that as you can, the EEG responses that are coming out. But we can pinpoint at 4 minutes and 32 seconds, point two, when they started to respond to the soundtrack they're listening to, and what happened when that changed and why did it change. And then we can continue to adjust, accordingly, just depending on, what we're looking at and studying it. So look, I think that the applications of music within itself, as you mentioned, are significant. The changes that are being made and the conversations we're having, our hope is to leave a footprint behind where we change the positive outcomes and increase the effectiveness of what we're doing is our goal. Our whole goal is to increase the effectiveness of, these therapy interventions, whether it's art therapy and music therapy and combinations of all of these things and the new immersive technologies that are available to us. We just want to leave a footprint behind so it keeps going. So we've changed the outcomes for these people and the applications in different medical genres. So anyway, that's the long answer on kind of where I see and where this music therapy and art therapy, NeuroArts interventions are headed.
Now, have you seen along those lines? Have you seen a higher outreach or a higher positive benefit from certain genres of music? I mean, is it like Frank Sinatra? I mean, what are we talking here?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the first one in the elder care is personal preference. I mean, songs they're familiar with. The research studies have shown that familiarity with those patients is beneficial. They lighten up. They know the words to it. And so to answer your question is there's been research studies done a pretty good stack of them that there's different classical music pieces that are beneficial. There's certain chants, Gregorian chants. I think the study that was on there was number one. Believe it or not, the Gregorian chants of that is the number one response. But people are different. And you have to be careful when you administer music therapy that it's not too loud, too low in frequency, too high in frequency. Doesn't create a problem. You don't want to create a problem in your music therapy session, with that. So we've approached it I guess I would call it a genre neutral. It's almost a new genre of sound and music and application that bypass it, but yet we still need to use what somebody's there. This is a real quick funny story about not knowing you don't know what music people are interested in. You may even know them and you don't know what they like. And I had a guy in Charlotte at the amphitheater in Charlotte, and he was, every time I ever saw him, he was in a suit, and he was in the 12th tower at Bank of America in Charlotte. And he came out to a show one night, and it was a metal show, and he came around the corner and he's wearing black jeans and a black t-shirt, and he's got a stack of cups already going. And this guy was a heavy metal guy, right? And he loved that. And so just from appearance, you would never know. And I've heard stories of people who they would listen to, a heavier metal, like Metallica or something like that, or maybe even kind of like at Linkin Park or something like that. And they received a calming effect from that versus the, something that you and I would think would be, some sort of calming classical music piece where you're sitting and relaxing. That didn't work for them. But I know some people that can relax and get into a zone listening to metal.
Yeah,
and it's rare. It's rare, but it's certainly, I've met them, and I've met people that say, I wind down, listening to that, and I couldn't do that.
No.
But some people are just wired that way, and that's the great thing about the process of where we are in the arts, right? And our conversation's only scratching the surface of immersive visual experiences like the Sphere in Las Vegas that can be applied to this process in arts and dance and in general. So we're really in a really big ocean of opportunity here to improve, outcomes in these processes.
Yeah, no, along those lines, Linkin Park, just side note, I saw him up here in Omaha, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And it was before Chester passed away, Chester Bennington, the lead singer.
Right.
And I tell you what, man, you want to talk about immersive. It was everything, from the DJ to the drummer to the guitarist. Everybody had their shining moment, and one of the best shows I've ever been to, hands down, bar none. And I'm a pop guy. Like you would never know by looking at my photos or anything, but I'm a huge Backstreet Boy fan, and here's why. Before anybody starts judging me, I've met all 5 of them. I've met their wives. I've talked to the kids of the Backstreet Boy, and they're just down to earth people. And I've always said from when people start giving me crap about it and everything, I'm like, good music is good music, and I don't care who it is, what genre it is. If it's telling a story and I can get behind that story and I can relate it to something in my personal life, that's a song. That's a banger. That's something that's going to go on for decades and decades and decades. And so, yeah.
They did have an incredible overall production show. It is amazing. And I think that, this diversity, to share with you a little bit of diverse angles of music. On our board, on our website, innerwave.org, there's on our board of advisors, Andre Below. And Andre is a violinist, almost a savant violinist, been playing the violin since he was 4. He's an amazing, I'll tell you where he is at from a concert violinist standpoint is he has a 1728 Stradivarius violin as a $16 million violin.
Holy cow. Oh my gosh.
and he's as equally talented in the visual art. This is how I met him some years ago, was because of his art. It wasn't because of his incredible violin play and the band that he's in a band that travels across the country selling out shows, which is called Paris Chanson. And they play French and Russian music, and traditional music, and it's phenomenal. I mean, they sell out the city winery venues across the country and Herb Albert's club in Los Angeles. But he's been gracious enough to be on our advisory board and helping us. We're working on a project on his right now for this music intervention and visual arts space therapy process. And so here's a concert violinist, that we're pairing with like a country music producer, and some other, it's kind of a grab bag of all of the people that are on our advisory board or people that we're communicating with, especially in the medical field. They're all musicians. And I don't even ask. They just, I play the violin, or I play the guitar, and Dr. Joseph Ledoux, that's on our board of advisors, is an incredible guitar player, and has put out some really cool pieces. And so, it's just a grab bag of people who want to contribute in the space that are, scientists and research people, mathematicians. They all seem to play an instrument or have some sort of connection in the music world.
Yeah, no. So along those same lines, what's somebody that you've worked with that maybe would surprise us here and our listening audience, somebody that you've worked with or that's on your advisory board that we might know?
A lot of what's current, right? Like everything I did with the music industry artists from an event perspective was prior to the technology that we have today, which just means I'm old. But there's some artists out there, and we can attest to I do have a Nebraska connection. I was with Shannon Chestnut at York, Nebraska. We launched a radio station there with the Nebraska Rural Radio Association, the Max Country. And we launched that, and I was there at the time, and is pretty exciting to be kind of being able to at least talk about or hear the music of people that I worked with through the 90s. And I think one of the best entertainer of the year back in the day, in the late 80s, was Ricky Van Shelton.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. Ricky Van we did some really cool things together in NASCAR events, and we launched the NASCAR Monopoly board game together, and I took him there, and we did that. And that was a nonprofit ball, it was an event. And, just back in the day of, artists, that were either in the middle of what they were doing, that were willing to help or wanted to do stuff with us. I don't know if you remember an artist named Kevin Sharp. Kevin Sharp recorded Measure of a Man. He won the BMI ASCAP award, I think, for 2 million plays that year. It was in the 90s. And he was the first artist he was the first Make-A-Wish recipient to reach celebrity status.
Wow.
And he his album Measure of a Man was really exciting. And his story about his Make-A-Wish, his wish was David Foster. And his wish was he wanted to meet David Foster. I think he was 16 at the time, so hopefully I'm getting the story right. And anyway, he met him and everything, and he gave him a tape, and David wouldn't listen to it. He goes, "I'm not going to do that to myself or you. It's a pleasure meeting you, but I'm not going to listen to this." Just because of the emotional issue that you're dealing with being, he had a bone type of cancer, and I don't remember the name of it. But at any rate, the story goes, I believe David was on his way home and popped the cassette in the car and turned around and went back and got it. and he goes, "No, wait. And so he signed into his deal. And so he made it many, many years through that. He's been gone some time now. Kevin has, but I did a lot of his nonprofit work with his manager at the time, and we did some stuff with St. Jude's, a lot of stuff with St. Jude's. And it was very rewarding to be able to do that and to help him, get his message out to what was happening, and to, further our relationship that we had at the time with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and the Country Cares program that they did. So there's a ton of, other artists and people, that I could share, but it was always more about what we were doing or the food drop, at the time. There's a Americana country artist named Kathy Mattea. A lot of people might remember Kathy. And I got her to sing the national anthem at the Daytona 500 when Earnhardt won.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was very cool on a couple of different fronts, but obviously Dale winning the 500 that year. And, but it being I'm looking at this, plaque here. It was the 40th anniversary of the Daytona 500 and the 50th anniversary of NASCAR. It was, February 15th, 1998. And so we got to, spent some time, visited with Dale at his shop there in North Carolina. And so that was just, those experiences have helped guide me into helping get ready to, set up this conversations we're having now with artists and recording artists and the music producer that I have on our team, with Greg Barnhill. And I need to give a shout out real quick to Darren Gajon. By the way, Greg Barnhill and Darren Gajon are from New Orleans. They're from Louisiana. And Darren, our technology officer, is incredible. We've created some tech that we're working on right now that we're presenting. It's just remarkable after 40 years in this space that we can take something that's already been purposed for something else, take it and use it for what we need it for. And he's been it's just been an amazing part of our team. Anytime we talk and we get together, all three of us, it's just something great happens. And it's just very rare to be able to, put a team together like that organically. And so I'm super excited to be a part of this with them.
Yeah, I think anything's possible, man, especially when you surround yourself with the right people. I've always said I'm only as good as the person standing next to me. So that's hat off to you and your team and everything that you guys are accomplishing there too. So kind of walk us through what the process is for Innerwave. If somebody wants to get involved, somebody needs to use your guys' services, how would they contact you? How would they go about it?
Yeah, if they go to the website, innerwave.org, there's a form there. They can reach out and then we'll get the message and we can reach back out to them. That's the best way to do it. And, I think that, hearing from any music therapist, art therapist, neurologist, any counseling, people that are involved in treating PTSD, people who are working with memory care patients, cancer patients, you got to some patients have to sit in a chemo chair for 6, 7, 8 hours. And we feel like, so the process that we have with, pain management and the projects we're working on now will here soon eventually be able to be utilized there. So if you're in that space, right, and or something, and you want to reach out to us, that's the best way to do it.
Perfect. We'll link that down before when we publish this. We'll put it in the comments section there too, so people can go to your guys' site directly and try to get a hold of you guys that way. I only got a couple more for you here, Todd, and then we'll get you out of here, man. Can't thank you enough. Next steps for Innerwave in neuroscience, the clinical music therapy field. What's next for you guys in your group?
Well, we're excited to announce that we've recently partnered with the Institute for Music and Neurologic Function in New York. We're officially partnered with them. And they also have partnered after the first of the year with a Music and Memory. Music and Memory has got that, database of songs that they provide for caregivers that, creates these soundtracks for these elderly care patients. And You can look them up, certainly at the Institute for Music and Neurologic Function, or IMNF for short. That's real exciting. That relationship and partnership with what we're doing with them helps guide us in ways we couldn't possibly imagine, because of the contacts that Dr. Kunze has been gracious enough to share with us and the conversations that we're having. We do have some upcoming meetings in California with some technology companies that are happening in February, and some studio work that we have to do yet. And so I think at the stage of where we are, especially with everything being so technology driven, it'd be great to be able to just, share, here's all of it, here's how it works, everything. But we're not quite there yet. We want to be able to get this phase of it done, and then move on. But we're real excited about the meetings that are going to take place in February, the studio work that we're doing right now, and the storyboards that we're working on for these, this patent pending immersive therapy intervention process that we've created is moving forward. We have a couple of philanthropic families, investor teams that are interested in supporting what we're doing. And so, look, we're in the next 3 to 4 months. We'll look to change gears and move forward, and taking the proof of concept models we already have, and being able to actually start talking to companies, which we're doing now, about how we can get this to the right organizations in the right hands to deliver this processes that we've created. And one of the companies that we're talking to can do that. I mean, it's just fascinating that we've been talking to them for over 2 years now,
man,
and they're ready. So, but that's we're really tight window here of 3 months, and then our conversation will change drastically probably by June.
Well, once June rolls around and you guys get everything across the finish line, man, we'll get you back on, and we'll dive deeper into that too. But Todd, I got one more for you here, man. Knowing everything that you know now, COVID's passed, we're talking to younger Todd. What's a piece of advice that you'd give yourself and any listeners that are looking to dive into this industry?
It's about if you feeling something and you're passionate about it, that you can something that you can make a difference with the footprint that you leave behind. You need to do it. Don't listen to people tell you can't do it. Don't listen to academic that tells you can't do it. This is the way you have to do it. There's no rules. You just Hans Zimmer has this really cool video that he put out that was part of the master class, on how to produce music soundtracks. You can even Google it and listen to it, right? Hans Zimmer in this master class. And he's like, look, there's some kid in the Bronx that could spit out what I'm doing and create a soundtrack that's just beautiful. And it's like, if there's a rule in this space, break it. And you can't listen to the norms. You have to, and I'll have one other piece of advice. Everything's driven on technology. Young people, the millennials, the people that use technology every day, every 5 seconds, is put it down. Put the damn phone down. Mm-hmm. Shut the computer off. Get silent for a bit and listen to yourself. Be creative. You're not going to be able to do that listening and looking at your phone. And you're not going to be able to do it looking at your computer. Shut it off every day. If you can disconnect for 2, 3, 4 hours, just put it away. Those people, those messages you're getting, and whatever, they're still going to be there. You have to disconnect from the noise and let your brain settle down. Let you listen to the voice of your own creativity. That's what I would tell you. Is if you can accomplish that, you can accomplish great things, because you're not going to be able to do it glued to your phone.
Amen, brother. Amen. I think there's a calming, soothing presence when a lot of people get uncomfortable with pauses. A lot of people get uncomfortable with silence. And I, being a father of two and coaching 11 kids, and it's just being able to just sit and breathe and think and process, that to me is huge. It's massive. It makes a difference in every single day. I mean, start a day that way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just think it is hard for some people to disconnect because of all the fast, rapid transit speed that everything is happening in today, and instant technology, instant answers, instant everything. But look, creativity is we're built to be creative people in whatever you're passionate about, and especially in this NeuroArts and music space and arts and wherever. But if you can disconnect and just get go for a little bit, our brains aren't designed to stop thinking. I'm not saying stop thinking, but stop the external noise and just let yourself be creative and hear the voice in some a little bit corny way. Let the universe speak to you about what you want to do, because the only way you're going to hear that answer is to be quiet.
I agree.
and if I would have known that 30 years ago, well, that's just the way our journeys go. But anyway, I appreciate your time and appreciate the conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My advice is always, man, is say yes. Say yes, take the risk, go out, take the chances. You're never going to regret the chances that you take. You're going to regret saying no. And what if is the biggest fear I have. I tell the kids I coach, I'm 36 years old, and if I had somebody like me in my life back then to push me to say yes, and you don't want to wake up tomorrow wondering what if I would have tried harder, what if I would have given my all, what if I would have said yes, what if I would have done that podcast with Todd, that type of stuff. That's huge, man. Well, anyways, guys, this is the fastest hour in podcast radio. Thank you for joining us on this Stay Modern with Murray podcast. Todd, before you go, is there anything else you want to reach out? How do people get involved? Just go to the website and hit you up.
Yeah, that's the best way. Just go to innerwave.org, and then they can send us a note or a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And just, again, appreciate the time, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, man, we'll talk to you in June. Everybody follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. Stay tuned for some exciting announcements coming soon.
If you have questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, you can email them to info@murraycustomhomes.com. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to Stay Modern with Murray on Apple and Spotify, or check back on our website and social media regularly for the latest episodes.